And then there's Jalen Hurts, who became the starter after 12 games last year because Carson Wentz was benched. And now the Eagles, remember, after they reached the deal to trade Carson Wentz to Indianapolis, what we heard was the Eagles are still looking. They're still looking for another quarterback. They want competition. The Eagles, very well documented as a team that views the backup quarterback position as a top 15 spot on the total roster. Now, courtesy of Chris Mortensen of ESPN, the notion that Jeffrey Lurie wants to support Jalen Hurts in 2021, not create competition. And that is a very subtle but important distinction when it comes to finding a backup quarterback, because there's two kinds of backup, Charean. There's the backup who knows he's the backup and who knows his job is to support and teach and help the starter. Then there's the backup who has license to compete fully and completely, and if he ultimately can push the starter to the bench, so be it. Now, I remember Matt Hasselbeck used to say when he was backing up Andrew Luck, his attitude was to try to create a sense of competition with Andrew Luck, even though no one thought that there was actual competition. So there's different ways you support the starter, but it sounds more like the Eagles are going to be looking for a number two who is more of a support person, which points to Super Bowl 52 MVP, in my mind, Nick Foles, being the guy who is on the roster with Hurts, because he won't try to topple Hurts. He will be available in the event that Hurts gets injured and they need someone to come in. So he fills that role of backup quarterback who can get it done if need be, but they can support Jalen Hurts and help him become the best quarterback that he possibly will be in the NFL.
Yeah, you've said Foles all along, Mike, and it does make a lot of sense, right, for him to come back there. I mean, we've decided that he's never going to be a full-time starter in the NFL. I mean, most games he's ever started in his season is 11, but he's a great backup, one of the best backups in NFL history. And if Jalen Hurts struggles or gets hurt or whatever, he is perfect to go in there. And he's also going to have a relationship with Jalen Hurts, even as he backs up Jalen Hurts. I mean, we saw it with him with Carson Wentz. We did not see that Carson Wentz with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts talked about that with Adam Schefter this week, about how they really didn't have that relationship that perhaps Carson Wentz had with Nick Foles, because Nick Foles knows his place, right? So he does make perfect sense there, and he's not going to come in and push Jalen Hurts, but he is going to come in and make Jalen Hurts a better quarterback. I'm just not positive, Mike, that I've seen enough from Jalen Hurts to know he's their guy. And maybe that's what they're trying to figure out. Maybe they've decided with all their salary cap problems, we can contend in the division. There's no question about that. It's a bad division. We know that. But we can't contend for a Super Bowl right now. So let's go see what we have in Jalen Hurts this season and prepare to come back in 2022. And the salary cap is more. We have this high pick we can go use to get some weapons around him or whatever we deem we need to use those high picks on. But let's go get help for Jalen Hurts and see what we have in him. But it almost reminds me of the Drew Lock situation. I mean, they started almost the same amount of games, and we thought Lock had shown enough to be the guy, and it turns out he didn't this year show that he was the guy. So I want to see more from Jalen Hurts, and maybe that's what the Eagles are waiting on, to see more from Jalen Hurts, Mike.
And let's not be naive either. They are at number 6 in the draft. And to the extent that they are thinking about using that 6th overall pick on a quarterback, it is in their interest to create the impression that they're not. And no one, trust me, if the Eagles go quarterback at number 6, no one, maybe I will now that I'm thinking of it, is going to dust off Chris Mortensen's report from today and give it the same kind of 11 of 12 attention that a report of his got 6 years ago and say, he's wrong. They were looking for another quarterback. But that's the thing. If you are thinking about a quarterback there, you need to get people to think you aren't, because then when it's time for the Bengals to tie these two together to trade down from number 5, you're more likely to get the Bengals' attention and get someone to jump up, because you know you need to get up in front of the Philadelphia Eagles to get a quarterback, depending upon who's left at that 5 spot. So, yeah, we don't want a quarterback. We don't want a quarterback. We don't want a quarterback. And then maybe the rest of the league will think they're not looking quarterback at 6th overall. It would be naive and foolish to rule that out because of the way the draft works. But let's assume it's the truth. Let's assume they're all in with Jalen Hurts. I agree with you. I don't think there's enough evidence yet to know what he's going to be. And one of the problems last year, he started so late in the year. There wasn't enough film to give defenses a full understanding of who he is, what he does, what he doesn't do, how to properly defend against him. And now this year with a new offense, and I don't know how much the Nick Sirianni offense is going to be similar to or different from what Doug Peterson did, but it's going to take some time to get the film to understand how are they using him, where are the weaknesses, how can we deploy our 11 to match their 11 based upon the things that number 2 does. That may take into October. And then you have a ceiling that gets positioned over that offense, gets positioned over Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. When the defense has the film, that's when we're going to find out whether or not Jalen Hurts can bust through that ceiling or whether or not they found a way to crack the code and the Eagles can't figure out how to counter what defenses have figured out how to do.
One thing, Mike, they need to figure out how to, if they're truly going to build around Jalen Hurts, how to get him more weapons, because I am curious, Carson Wentz's regression, how much of that was the fact that he just didn't have any weapons around him. I mean, when I look at that offense and I saw those receivers and those running backs, there was nobody on that offense that scared me whatsoever. We know they had all the injuries to the offensive line. He had no protection last year. So all those things really added up for Carson Wentz. And then you're right, Jalen Hurts came in late and he had those same problems. So you've got to get some weapons around him. But let's go back to your point about the draft. I just think if you judge these quarterbacks and you deem one of those guys to be a franchise quarterback, I just think you have to draft him there. You're unsure about Jalen Hurts. Draft the guy, let Jalen Hurts start off the season. You can always trade him. But I go back to what the Lions did last year with that 3rd overall pick. They had a chance to get Justin Herbert, and they didn't do it. And now they have a new quarterback, Jared Goff, who we know is not as good as Justin Herbert because they traded Matthew Stafford. And I think they would have been better off if they had used that 3rd overall pick on Justin Herbert. Today, they would be better off than where they are now. And so I just think if you deem one of those guys to truly be special and he's there, I just think you have to draft the quarterback.
All I know is the Eagles understand very well how the media works. They understand the concept of the long con, and it would be a long con indeed to start planning the notion now that they are not thinking about a quarterback with that 6th overall pick. Have it take root, let it become an accepted narrative, and then as teams are trying to decide on draft night where they need to go to get Mac Jones or Zach Wilson or whoever, even if Aggie great Kellen Mond continues his meteoric rise fueled by Chris Sims into the top 10. Whatever it's going to take, if teams are looking at those picks and they scratch the Eagles off as a potential quarterback destination at 6, that is mission accomplished.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.